As I've helped people understand their dreams over the years, I've seen countless people tripped up because they don't understand the number one rule for interpreting dream symbols. It's common to hear people say things like, this particular object in a dream always represents this thing, or this particular object always represents this thing. Various one-to-one correlations. They might say something like, dogs in dreams represent friends, or cars in dreams represent ministry. But what I want you to know is the number one rule for interpreting dream symbols, which is this: context is everything. So in this video, we're going to take a look at why context is so important to understanding what something means symbolically in your dream. And we're going to look at how a change in the context of your dream can change the meaning of what a particular symbol might mean. Hey, and welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I'm Steven Ugan from Your Dreams Coach, and I would love to take the years of experience that I have interpreting thousands of dreams and visions to help you unlock the meaning behind your dreams. So let's dig into the number one rule for interpreting dream symbols, which is this: context is everything. Now, why is context so important? Because the exact same symbol in two different contexts can mean two entirely different things. And the words of Jesus himself actually demonstrate this. Let's look at Luke chapter 12, verse 1, where Jesus tells a parable. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. And yet, in Matthew chapter 13, verse 33, Jesus tells another parable in a different context, and he says this: the kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. So you see that here Jesus is using the same symbol, yeast, in two different contexts. And in one context, the yeast represents the hypocrisy of the Pharisees. And in the other context, the yeast represents the kingdom of heaven itself. Now you can see hypocrisy of the Pharisees and the kingdom of heaven are two vastly different things, yet Jesus is able to use the same symbol to represent both because the context of each parable is different. Another biblical example is given in Matthew chapter 13, where Jesus tells three different parables using seed in a figurative manner. In the first parable, the seed stands for the word. In the second parable, the seed stands for the sons of the kingdom. And in the third parable, the seed stands for the kingdom of heaven itself. So you see that Jesus uses the exact same symbol to mean three different things, depending on the context of the parable. In the same way, when God speaks through dreams, he can use the same image to mean different things, depending on the context of the dream. So you can see, if we listen to people who say this object always means this thing in anyone's dream, regardless of context, then we're not taking a biblical approach to interpreting dreams. So now we've taken a look at why context is so important in interpreting dream symbols. But now let's take some examples and examine how a change in context in the dream can change the meaning of the symbol. We're going to use two different example dreams to demonstrate how a change in context in the dream can change what the symbol means within the dream. And for this, we're going to use two really common images that occur in dreams, one being a dog and one being a car. But first, if you've ever had a dream with a car or a dog, please post in the comments below what you believe that image meant within your dream. Here's the first example. Let's say you're an accountant in real life and you have a dream that you're driving in your car and you're working on a calculator as you're driving. Suddenly, the car grows much bigger and now there's another person sitting right next to you, and that person is also using a calculator. Now, if you listen to those who say cars always mean ministry in dreams, then you're going to completely misunderstand the meaning of this dream and end up really confused. This dream is not about your ministry, it's about your job. The Lord is telling you that your accounting practice is about to grow to the extent that you are going to take on a new associate. The fact that the context of this dream lines up much more closely with your job than it does with your ministry tells you that this dream is about your accounting practice and not about your ministry. Now, in another dream with another context, it's possible that your car could represent not ministry or job, but your life. And the context of the dream is what would tell you that's what the car represents. Let's look at another example with a dog. Let's say you have a dream where you and your spouse are walking through your neighborhood when all of a sudden you see a vicious black German Shepherd on the other side of a fence. And as you walk through the neighborhood, this black German Shepherd with beady red eyes is glaring at you and snarling and snapping at you as you walk through. He's following you on the fence. And simultaneously, you and your spouse turn to the dog, you open your mouth, and a sword comes out of your mouth and kills the dog. Now, in this dream, this dog obviously does not represent your friend. And the context of the dream tells you that. The Lord is showing you through this dream that there's a demonic, territorial spirit in your neighborhood that you and your spouse will be able to overcome through the use of the Word of God coming out of your mouth. So let's look at the context clues within the dream. The fact that this dream takes place in your neighborhood shows you that God is wanting to speak to you about something happening in your neighborhood. The fact that there's a dog in a fenced yard that's guarding that yard tells us that something territorial is in view. And then the fact that the dog itself is black with beady red eyes, is snarling and snapping at you, tells us that this is probably something demonic that's in view. Now, the sword coming out of your mouth speaks of the Word of God, and the fact that you kill the dog with that sword shows us that this is not a human friend that's in view, but surely something demonic that the Lord is talking about. So here's the main take-home message. You can't just look up a symbol in a dream dictionary and say, that must be what it means in my dream. If the context of the dream does not line up with that meaning, then it does not mean that in your dream, no matter how many dream dictionaries give that definition. So now you know why and how context is important in determining what symbols mean in your dream, but there's something vital that you also have to consider. What if the object in your dream does not have a symbolic meaning at all? What if it's literal? Well, that's what we'll take a look at in this video, so check it out so you can understand how to determine that. And if you've never taken time to subscribe to my channel, please do so now so you don't miss out on any of my new content. And it would mean a lot to me if you would like and share this video with your friends.